Now, now, after they had did this, I'm showing you how they did step by step, showing you that this was did out of malice. They created drugs in the laboratories, not to destroy that man, but to cause him to become a living corpse in order to serve him. Then, I'm going to show you this because this is where the works of the Antichrist that God was speaking of came to play. To take and create that which God had preserved for himself and transform it into the works of the Antichrist to serve that human being. There's a part in the Bible prophecy where God said he will not give his glory to another. But this was to not only wage war against men, but to take away the glory that God had preserved himself and deliver it into the hands of men. That's what this man was doing. But he did it through secret. He didn't want to kill the people, but he wanted to tear down what God had built. For we used to pray for our daily food, and we were satisfied with cornbread with butter between it. But he wanted to feed us steak, hamburger, and all these things. In doing so, he had to get us from our cornbread. He had to get us from our butter, what we thank God for. He had to transform us and to a non-profit people that we may serve him in his restaurant by eating his food. Anything we get, we had to get from him, and we go up there and tell the people what we want to buy. He brought drugs in our neighborhood, whiskey, everything. He had watched the people through their turmoil and see what they liked the best. With the prayer out of school, we don't pray to God for our deliverance anymore. We depend on McDonald's where we had money to buy what we want. He took us from the cotton fields and he brought in the implement equipment, a large tractor, and placed us from one place to other. He talked about education. You got to have education to run this track. You got to have education to do that. But what he was doing, he was transforming us into a mindset that everything that we had that we used to pray for God for, that it comes by the way of education, that this world was transforming itself to a infrastructure of knowledge. I'm going to show you how this came to be. Listen at this. But he didn't tell us that everything he created, that he gave life to run through the way of knowledge, it depended upon a fossil fuel or whatever kind of fuel he did say it is. Diesel, jet, gasoline. In other words, he taking the product that God created and manufacturing his factory that it depends on it, and he said this comes from the way of knowledge. He transgressed the people, transformed people from one state of mind and placed him into another state of mind here in Pine Bluff. I'm telling you from a little spot, and I know it transcends all of. They got all these Ford tractor companies, all these large John Deere companies, all these vehicles all over the world. is transcending from one dynamic unto another dynamic. But these things that he created depend on a fuel, and he using all his fuel here in the United States, and he depending on the fuel all across the world. You got to look at this. In other words, he destroyed the infrastructure of the United States of America, of where we came from, and he thinking more with a technology and knowledge of education. This is where I got to go with this project here I'm making here to let you know where I'm coming from, because I've got to write a book. Created drugs, he don't need us no more because he got to get rid of some of the voice of the people because they it's something a thorn, but he got to do it through secret to make it you think that it's our own fault why we are destroying ourselves. He makes these people where they do drugs, not to kill them. This gives the lawyers and the doctors work that he created through the infrastructure called education. While they're working on a patient coming in OD and all of this, and this devil-minded person have did this, they're getting paid to go to school and make more doctors and all, and to create, have all these different clinics for drugs addiction. But had he not did what he did, these people would not be going to them doctors. But he gives the white people's education to become these, and they sitting up in their office getting paid. But the seed that he created and he planted this earth have no subsequent life. Have no substance of life. So it's come in, it is possible for a little while because it's living, it's a bloodsucker. It's living off, it's a parasite living off the body of those who work. So he creates this, create that, but as he create this man, this image, he diluting the substance of life that God made a seed upon the earth because he is a bloodsucker, parasite sucking blood from the one that common man that work. Sooner or later, that man gonna become weak. He gonna become addicted because he got to live off these people's addiction, building this here doctor's office to cater to what he have created, a seed without life. So you put the man back on the street, he got to come in for addiction again. The drug dealer still pumping drugs in you. He got to come back. Let me just show you this small part. And when he come back, and even eating this contaminated food and drinking this contaminated water, he got to come back to you. Sooner or later, he gonna get weaker and weaker, and can't work to support his habit. Drug dealers got to go out and kill him. They got to fill these graveyards. You got more drug grave diggers and more prisons set up than you can take care of people that coming in and going out of this prison. The same thing before Melody that I watched in Pine Bluff. Well, as they continue to go in and out of their prison system, and then they go to the graveyard, then again the drug, the infrastructure of America is dwindling, dying, and the same formality as Pine Bluff have become a dead city on license. Your best customers have died. You can't be no parasite. So when your best customer die, then you're not selling the cars that you sell. You ain't selling the vehicles you sell because your customers